Let's call this meeting of the Aurora City Council for June 11, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Here.
Alderman Garza?
Here.
Alderman Masiacos?
Present.
Alderman Donnell?
Here.
Alderman Franco?
Here.
Alderman Seville?
Here.
Alderman Tolliver?
Here.
Alderwoman Smith?
Here.
Alderman Bug?
Here.
Alderwoman Bade?
Here.
Alderman Lash?
Present.
Alderman Warman? And Mayor Urban is present.
Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Sergeant at Arms for this meeting? Motion made by
Second.
Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman, who seconded that, I'm sorry, Alderman Lash. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad, you introduce the folks, the person leading the pledge for us.
Good morning, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, leading the Pledge of Allegiance is our appointee for your approval tonight to our Veterans Advisory Council, Gerald Paulson. He's a U.S. Army veteran and entrepreneur of the Paulson Group the last nearly 30 years. He received the U.S. Small Business Administration Veterans Business Champion of the Year, the United States of America, and was listed as one of the top 12 veterans of the state of Illinois. Please give a round of applause to U.S. Army veteran Gerald Paulson. He'll lead us in the pledge. Can all please stand?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Invocation will be led by Alderman Edward Bug.
Let's bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you that you have made us wonderfully. You love us no matter how we are, no matter where we come from. God, we ask you to bless us today as we do the business of the people and businesses of Aurora. Give us wisdom, give us insight as we do your work and will. We thank you and always praise our first responders, our police, fire, and all of our veterans. Bless us and keep us. We pray all this in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Hamid, I'll let you continue with the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs presentation.
Yes, sir, Mayor. I tell you, we're going to cede our time to the APS Training Academy for their annual update.
Thank you so much. I am Nicole Astor, the Executive Director for APS Training Academy. I have the privilege of presenting the Aurora STEAM Academy 2023 report. I trust you have received the executive summary ahead of time. I will try not to take up too much time. I will move through this very quickly. But I do want to hit our program highlights, our demographic highlights, APS's commitment to Aurora, and how we intend to grow together. First is our program highlights. That first picture there, Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley awarded us $10,000, which we used for upgraded laptops, which we desperately need, particularly to run the very robust software that it takes for our industrial robotics program. Next is a picture of Urban Youth Ministries, where we picked up our STEAM Academy and served 63 students at once. You heard from their Executive Director, Robin Sturkle, the last time we were before you. In the center there is a picture of Axel, one of our many success stories. He started as a student, as did his siblings. He graduated to a volunteer, and now he is a paid instructor with us this summer. He also just finished his first year at IMSA, which was one of his life goals to get into IMSA. Mr. Fixit, a staple in Aurora for over 40 years, closed his doors. He chose APS Training Academy to receive the many, many sewing machines left behind over the years. And in 2023, we started some of our life skills courses for our youth. And then just a picture of one of the many community events. They remain some of our favorite time of the year and a way for us to stay in touch with our families and increase our outreach. Of course, the program highlights include the 2,000 learners that Aurora STEAM Academy served in 2023. 12 courses were offered. This graph shows you how many students took each course. The high bars there at the end are due to our concentrated summer programming and our work within the school districts, 129 and 131. We do continue to diversify courses offered to keep current students engaged and attract new students, and of course, offer trending and crucial subjects. 23 area schools received ASA courses during their after-school enrichment programs, and 10 community partners also saw an increase in ASA and APS now that our visibility is increasing. This slide shows some of those partners. Moving into demographics. This slide shows that we have maintained, my apologies. This slide shows our students served by ethnicity. I'll give you a moment just to move around the wheel there. This is a 23 highlight. And then this next slide shows that we have maintained that priority for all 3 years. Of course, our partnership with ASA, we do want to prioritize ethnicities and communities that remain underrepresented in the STEAM fields. Therefore, we are helping to close that gap together. This slide shows our families served in 2023. You can see that the AMI breakdown of households we prioritize, 90% of them fall below AMI. Again, that comparison over the last 3 years has remained consistent. Here we show the diversity of genders served in 2023. Proud to say that that gap is slowly closing. The girls are gaining on the boys. And here again, just to show that consistency over the years. This shows that our most popular student in attendance is in grades 3 through 5th. And over the years, that has remained slightly consistent. However, the uptick that we now see in grades 6 through 8, I believe, is because we are keeping that 5th grade student that is rising to middle school engaged with the diversity of our program. Now moving on to APS commitment to Aurora. This number is actually obsolete since I submitted, but we are closing in on 7,000 students learned since our inception. That number has increased exponentially over the years. Of course, we do hit the 2,000 for Aurora STEAM Academy, but this graph just shows the overall students that come through our doors. Our course offerings, we did talk about for ASA, but Aurora STEAM Academy, APS Training Academy also increases our courses from year to year. We have a whopping 54 new courses in development. Those include the ones that you see here: industrial robotics, CAD and 3D printing, Girls Who Code, competitive robotics team, and various engineering kits. It is truly because of your partnership and trust in APS Training Academy that we will continue to empower vulnerable communities through free STEAM education. So we wanted to just simply say thank you. The City of Aurora assists our team in doing what we are truly passionate about, but more importantly, the city provides opportunities for our youth that will have a generational impact. What's on the horizon for us growing together includes 5 new summer camp options. We have served over 150 learners in our very first week. It is buzzing and busy over at APS Tower. That is expected to serve 1,300 learners before the fall. We have developed those 54 new course options that will serve us well over the coming years. Our community partnerships continue to grow, and we hope that they will help us reach our goal of serving 10,000 students by the end of 2025. That concludes our 2023 report. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. Does any? Yeah. Hold on one second, Ms. Astor. Before we have Ms. Astor step away from the microphone, does anyone have any questions about their successes in the future of the Aurora STEAM Academy? Alderman Patty Smith.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for sharing this information with us. Just like the city of Aurora, we're growing leaps and bounds, so isn't APS. And I'm so proud of the work that you guys have done in that building. And it's so exciting to see the kids that are engaged and the ones that are staying with you. So please continue to bring these updates to us, because this is what makes, you know, our job feel really good when you guys share this type of stuff with us.
We
So
will.
thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No? Thank you very much. Appreciate your
Thank you.
presentation. Mr. Mohammed, is there any other? All right, that concludes our Community Affairs presentations. Let's go on to mayoral appointments. Madam Clerk, will you read the first item under mayoral appointments?
24-0372, a resolution approving the appointment of Maite Acosta, Lincoln Majerski, and Harishta Kanda to the Aurora Youth Council.
So moved.
There's been a motion made by
Second.
Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Smith. Are there any questions or discussions on these appointments? There being none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
All right, motion carries. The resolution is approved. Do we have Maite, Lincoln, and Harishita here with us? Can you stand up? Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve. If you guys just hold on just for a few seconds, I'll call you up and we'll take a picture just when we get past all the other appointments. But thank you again. Madam Clerk, you call the next item?
24-0374, a resolution approving the appointment of Gerald Paulson to the Aurora Veterans Advisory Council.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions regarding this resolution? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Can Gerald Paulson please stand up? That's it. Let's recognize our veteran. Thank you for continuing to serve, sir. And I'll have you come up and take a picture in just a few minutes. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll? I'm sorry, call the next item.
24-0380, a resolution approving the appointment of Jean Hess, Emily Hinton, and Gabriella Gaitan to the city's Advisory Commission for Disabilities.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Smith. Sorry. Any questions or discussions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. We have Jean Hess, Emily Hinton, and Gabriella Gaitan with us today. Please stand up and be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for serving in the city of Aurora. Madam Clerk, call the next item.
24-0388, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Jasmine Garcia to the Foxwalk Overlay District Design Review
So
Committee.
moved.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second. Motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Before we entertain this motion, I believe Alderman Yamas is going to abstain from this particular vote. Is that correct? Is that, I'm sorry, did I go past?
I believe
it?
it's Alderman Warman.
Yeah, we're in a different one.
Yeah,
Go Jasmine Garcia?
it would have been Alderman Warman, but he's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, that's fine. So is there a, there's been a motion, a second. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
All right, motion carries. Resolution is approved. Is Jasmine Garcia here with us in the room? There we go. How you doing? Let's give her a round of applause. Gotcha. Thank you for your willingness to serve. We'll have you come up in just a second. Madam Clerk, call the next item.
24-0400, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Michael Hanzik to the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Advisory Board as a student member representative.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garcia. I'm sorry, Alderman Garza. I can't believe I said that. Alderman Garza. Madam Clerk, is there any questions or Discussion. There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bate?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. As Michael Hanzik and here in the room with us today, if you are, please stand up and be recognized. All right, let's give him a round of applause just for willing to serve. Can all of our new board and commission members meet me down in the front of the well so we can take a picture together? Let's give him another round of applause. All right, that concludes our mayoral appointments. So I know a lot of folks are here for the appointments and presentations. We're about to start our regular portion of the business, so I will give everyone that's here and has to leave an opportunity to file out before we start our regular portion of the business and our public comment. If you choose to stay, I'd love to have you, but if I understand you may have to go, and I won't feel bad at all. All right, seems everybody who was here for presentation is filed out, and those that are going to stay and participate in the regular business with us are out in the audience. So we'll go on to the next portion of the agenda, public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well, you please read the rules of public comment.
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, will you call the first person wishing to offer public comment?
Brandon Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm here to speak once again in behalf of the tattoo shop that I want to open. On March 1st, I started this process to build a safe environment for me to work and to bring people from different cities of Illinois and different states to be able to get their tattoos done here. I think I spent over $15,000 investing and buying everything I needed to open this place. But since it has not yet been approved, I have been finding myself in a hard time to work. And I could just go to any other place to tattoo, which I went to every tattoo shop that it's currently at 16 around here. And in order to work on any of these places, you must give at least 50% commission of every single tattoo I do. So at the end of the month, I have to pay more than a mortgage to be able to work in a small place or one of these tattoo shops that already exist. I'm not saying that I don't respect everyone's prices towards their workers, but I don't live by myself. I have a family to provide for. I have a fiance to provide for. And as I told you guys last time, I also want to build this program where I can help people from Aurora, especially young kids, because till this day, there's still a lot of gang members in Aurora. And then the way that they start is when they're in high school, you know? They're skipping school, they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So how about me and my group of friends go to speak to these schools? And we tell them that we can give free apprenticeships to learn how to do art, paint, cut their hair, or even tattoo. I think that is a big, important thing that you guys should think about it, because it's not just about me trying to build something for myself. There's other people that I want to help. So thank you very much for having me here today, and I really hope that we can work something out. So thank you guys.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Kimberly Munoz.
Ms. Munoz, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now. Feel free to readjust the mic.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Munoz, and I'm Brandon's fiance. I'm not only that, but I am a student at Aurora University. I'm finishing up my last semester to receive my bachelor's degree in science and nursing. For the past few years, Brandon has been my biggest supporter. Throughout his work, he has been able to financially help me pay for my studies, as my job as a nursing assistant is not enough to cover my $2,200 monthly tuition cost. I'm here today to ask for your support in order to be able to open Paradise Tattoo Shop. For the past few years, I have firsthand seen Brandon grow, have dedication and passion for his career. I have seen the many obstacles he has had to overcome, this situation being one of them. I hope that you can all relate to starting at the bottom in order to be in the positions you are today, as Brandon and I are trying to grow and build a better foundation for our family. The vision of Paradise Tattoo Shops is not only to create tattoos, but to become a safe place where new artists can have guidance and practice safety protocols for the residents of Aurora. The denial of new shops will only set back new artists and force them to tattoo in basements and rooms where the city of Aurora will not be able to monitor and follow standards of safety. Therefore, we would love the opportunity and be able to collaborate with the city of Aurora to create a change for the better. On behalf of Paradise Tattoos, Brandon and I, we appreciate you for taking the time to listen and be here tonight. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, you call the next speaker.
Edgar Munoz.
Evening.
Mr. Munoz, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Yep.
Feel free to
So-
readjust the mic.
So I would like to introduce myself. I'm Edgar Munoz, sibling of Kimberly. So my relations with Brandon is that, of course, he's my brother-in-law. And so I would like to start with that. So I've been asked to go ahead and speak to all of you in the hopes of making a change to the local laws and policies in Aurora regarding the amount of tattoo and piercing shops allowed in this town. From my understanding, no more than 4 shops are allowed, and 2 were grandfathered in. I know this has been an ongoing matter for years on making changes to the policies put in place. With the times changing and many young entrepreneurs and artists, they seek to either open up shop or have a place to work. It would be a shame to see them change later on and miss the opportunity to open and expand in this town. Knowing Brandon, I've seen the dedication and determination needed to become a shop owner at such a young age, which can be inspiring to many. and many also trying to follow in those footsteps as well. The downfall of having these policies set in place seems to be pushing businesses away rather than allowing them to pursue their goals. It's not only hurting the potential revenue for the town, but also impacts Brandon financially. From his earnings, he provides a home for my sister and helps her to continue her studies at the University of Aurora. His shop will also help provide work for any upcoming artists that seeks a safe and friendly environment. I hope that from all of this speaking, you can have an open mind on why these changes are beneficial for the city of Aurora and to the future of Brandon and his family. I want to thank you all for being here tonight and allowing me to speak and support Paradise Tattoos.
Madam Clerk, you call the next speaker.
Fabian Carlos.
Mr. Carlos, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Fabian Carlos, as you just mentioned. I'm a resident at 432 South Fordham Avenue in the 4th Ward. On June 3, 2024, city contractors were doing pavement repairs on the road in front of my house. The contractors were using heavy-duty hydraulic breakers attached to a skid steer, started breaking into the pavement directly on top of my 70-year-old lead service line, which is where we get water from. I passed out a few papers, and so you can see images on page 3. The vibrations were felt strongly all the way into my home, which is approximately 70 to 80 feet away from the impacted location. Soon after this happened, the water in my house started coming out discolored. You can see on page 4. As a father of a 3-year-old and a newborn, a massive vibration above our home's service line has, without a doubt, increased the potential for lead contamination in our drinking water. This is a great concern for the future health of my family, and especially my little ones. I contacted Public Works Engineering per the city's lead service letter that was sent out weeks prior to the incident. On the letter, it states that if a lead service line is disturbed, the line will be replaced by the city. I emailed Public Works in regards to this and shared what had happened with my line in regards to the powerful vibrations. I was told, and I quote, the city's lead water service replacement policy lists a disturbance of water service as an exposure during excavation. I then asked for the document that stated as such, but Public Works representatives ignored this request. I also attempted to schedule a meeting with them, but was ignored, and I also requested to speak with their supervisor, which they ignored. In their defense, they are probably getting a lot of these requests at this time, so I don't blame them. I'm looking at the City of Aurora's lead service line policy replacement plan dated April 12, 2024. For any definition as such, which I was not able to find, I understand a disturbed lead service line that was physically affected and that could potentially increase the lead service in the water. Not all vibrations are equal, and not all should be considered disturbances. Given the low amount of time I have left, I would just like to ask the city to take your time and consider the policy that was said in the lead service letter, which you can see on page 2 of the attachment that I sent you. Thank you.
Can we have someone from staff, before this gentleman leaves, have a conversation with him about how we're going to address the issues you talked about? I believe Mr. Schroth has already known about it and spoke with Alex Alexandrus, so can someone reach out and talk about how we're going to take the next steps to help out? Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Ben Thompson.
Mr. Thompson, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now, brother.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to stand before you representing Brandon Rodriguez and Paradise Tattoo. I'm a former Marine. I'm also a contractor with military and security. Been working with the U.S. Marshals, as well as my last job was with the CEO of U.S. Bank. The reason I bring this up is more and more tattoos have become commonplace, much more less taboo than they've ever been in the past. If you're talking about the city of Aurora denying or removing a future possibility of a tattoo parlor, there are certain negatives that you should be aware of before you do that. One, Brandon's work speaks for itself. Nowadays with social media, People invite him from the East Coast to California to come do the work for him. I myself, and no others, for every one of those individuals, there's 10 people like me who is willing to travel from St. Paul, Nebraska, other states to come in here and get his tattoos done. Once you have tattoos done, we stop at gas stations. We don't usually stop at fast food. We stop at small businesses, restaurants that this area is irrigated with. Plenty of on the routes from the highways to the tattoo parlor he's looking to do. That's revenue for you. Furthermore, I would like for you to keep in mind, he's a tattoo artist. I'm not saying by any means it's infringing or anything along those lines, but keep in mind, just because one artist, and there are plenty of art galleries out there, just because their gallery happens to be a canvas, doesn't mean there aren't plenty of people who appreciate the artwork that he does on the human body, since that is his canvas. Every tattoo parlor is different. You have 6 in this town. No matter how many different ones you have in there, each artist is different, unique, and people come for those individuals. Ergo, they're going to spend money in Aurora. This is an opportunity with his charity that he's willing to put forth, giving better prices for further artists. It just seems like it's a good system to have. And that's really all I have for you. I just would like you to open your hearts, think about what he wants to do, supporting his family, something that's the American dream, helping out individuals that are less fortunate, an American dream, and he's an artist, something that I think all of us like to encourage in people. So that's all I have. Please keep that in mind, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Keith Larson.
Mr. Larson, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening. My name is Keith Larson, and I'm here once again to ask that you please consider supporting a resolution calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. It has been over 8 months now since the beginning of this genocide, which is only the latest phase in the last century of increasing brutality against the Palestinian people. I was aware of the brutality of the occupation before October 7th, though I've learned a lot more about the history in these last 8 months. But it wasn't until I saw a lot of people standing up for Palestine in October that I found a way to get involved in this movement for liberation and peace. It is not easy to witness a genocide. Some people try their best to ignore it or deny it. Others look at the pictures and videos until they become hopeless and immobilized. It is hard to find a healthy balance, if such a thing is even possible, during a live-streamed genocide. I try to limit my exposure to news coverage in the interest of avoiding depression or desensitization, and instead, I focus on actions that I can take, such as speaking in these city council chambers. But I know a lot of people are struggling now. Of course, Palestinian people are struggling the most, particularly those in Gaza, but also Palestinians here in Aurora. And even for non-Palestinian people like myself who are aware and trying to fight against this genocide, it is difficult to feel good. It has been 8 months of constant action and little rest, yet Gaza is still burning, crumbling, and left without food, water, or hope. I know that I can only do so much as one person, but I also know that what we are doing is not enough with each child that starves to death, each parent that is murdered by bombs made in the US, some right here in Illinois, and each limb that is amputated without anesthesia. Even if I feel demoralized today, I will never give up, and I'll keep fighting until there's nothing left to fight for. As a Jewish person who grew up very aware of the Holocaust, I look to history to learn how to dismantle fascism more effectively as the flames of fascism grow hotter each year. While my people were being persecuted and murdered in Nazi Germany, people continued to resist and protest despite likely feeling demoralized with each additional death. At the time, US police officers arrested people for tearing down Nazi flags, just as police these days are arresting students for camping out on campuses paid for by their own tuition. I know that what is being done is not enough, so that is why you need to work with us. I'm doing as much as I can manage. The least that this council can do is something. Please, Mr. Mayor, meet with us. We have more in common than not. I know that you do not support genocide, but the only way that we can end this genocide is with everyone working together. Otherwise, we are doomed to see history repeat itself. Thank you for your time.
Madam Clerk, you call the next speaker.
Mercy Galicia.
Ms. Scalisi, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Thank you.
Feel free to readjust the mic.
Good evening. My name is Mercy Galicia, and I'm a resident on the 4th Ward. I just wanted to remind, I gave packages for sponsorship. We are having our festival at Weiler Park, June 29th, and we are having something else soon. The raising of the flag, may I say that? On Friday, June 28th at noon, 11, I believe, Mr. Mohammed. I'd like to invite you guys to please participate if you can still assist. I don't want to be doing tamales till the day of the fest. I think we've done over 350 dozen of tamales to sell and raise money for our scholarships, or for our festival. Some of the aldermen have participated. I know not everyone would be able to, but maybe anything that you can help would be appreciated. And I look forward to seeing all of you at least. Come and check us out. These are Texans that live here in Aurora that want to bring our tradition here, and because we've lived here forever. I've been here in Aurora for 36 years. Mr. Benavides has helped our president. Dr. Alejandro Benavides has been here in the school district for a long time too. I want to say about 35 years or 40 years. He didn't come with me today, so I really didn't get all the details on that. We did meet with Mr. Mohammed, and we're all excited. I wasn't able to tell our board of directors until I got an okay from him that the raising of the flag was going to be official. But now it is, so hopefully you guys can join us. If you have not turned in your sponsorship, I will leave a package. They will pass it around. So any donation that you want to do would be appreciated. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I hope to see you with your cowboy hat and some cowboy boots. Thanks.
Do we have any additional speakers, Madam Clerk?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that concludes that portion of our agenda. Next, we will go on to hear both the consent agenda and the direct to council consent agenda in full. Will the clerk now please read both agendas in full?
24-0169, a resolution authorizing F.H. Passion S.N. Nielsen and Associates using the City of Aurora Job Order Contracting Program to remodel the City Hall 5th floor storage area for $94,604.22 and a 10% contingency of $9,460.42. 24-0313, an ordinance amending Chapter 49 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Aurora, by modifying the zoning map attached thereto to rezone the property located at 1218 North Lake Street from R1 One Family Dwelling District and B3 Business and Wholesale to B3 Business and Wholesale. 24-0314, a resolution approving the final plat for Delgadillo subdivision located at 1218 North Lake Street. 24-0350, resolution authorizing F.H. Passion S.N. Nielsen and Associates using the City of Aurora Job Order Contracting Program to perform restorative repairs to the GAR Memorial Museum in the amount of $113,314.77 and a 10% contingency of $11,331.48. 24-0367, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a telecommunication facility use and the establishment of modified standards on Lot 1 of Cyrus 1 subdivision, Phase 2, located at 2905 Deal Road. 24-0373, a resolution approving the acceptance of proposals from contractors for snow and ice control services of various parking lots for a 2-year term with the option of 2 additional 1-year extensions. 24-0384, an ordinance approving an amendment to the plan description for the Butterfield Planned Development District on 32.08 acres for the property located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Viola Road, and north of Interstate 88. 24-0385, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a telecommunications facility use and the establishment of modified standards on the property located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Viola Road, and north of Interstate 88. 24-0386, a resolution approving a preliminary plan and plat for Butterfield Phase 2, Unit 5B on vacant land located at 2725 Bilter Road, being south of Bilter Road, west of Viola Road, and north of Interstate 88. 240392, a resolution to award the State Street Water Main Replacement Project located in Ward 3 to Brandt Excavating in the bid amount of $347,465.00. 240393, a resolution establishing the maximum number of Class B on-site consumption liquor licenses unofficially related to the application from Hills Banquet Hall at 649 Hill Avenue in Ward 3. 240394, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to award a contract to Geneva Construction Company in the amount of $3,157,899.95 for the remaining site work associated with the new Public Works Combined Maintenance Facility. 240395, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter into an agreement with McKinsey Brothers for native plantings landscaping maintenance in the amount of $88,036. 240411, a resolution to approve proposals to use existing funds for Luminora Festival, the city's first annual interactive light and sound experience. 240426, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, May 28, 2024 City Council meeting. 240438, a resolution accepting the dedication of a stormwater control easement on Marmion Academy's property located at the northeast corner of Butterfield Road and Hart Road. 240441, a resolution accepting the improvements and waiving the maintenance security for Blackberry Farm Train Barn, 100 Barnes Road.
So moved.
Second?
There's been a motion made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Smith. Before we entertain that motion and second, are there any motions to remove any items from the consent agenda or any questions or discussions on any items on the consent agenda? Alderman Seville.
Yes, Mayor. I spoke with Ed Sieben after the committee of the whole last week. Is he or somebody from planning here to address my question with regard to that retaining wall and who's responsible? Is it this business or is it the businesses to the west? This retaining wall is like 3/4 of the way almost to the ground and leaning. So,
Do we have anybody that's able to answer Alderman Seville's question? Alex Alexander, are you in the room and are you able to answer? If Ed Sieben is not here. This is item. So what item is that, Alderman Seville? And just go ahead, step up to the mic.
yes, it is the 124-0314. There's a retaining wall on the west side of this business, and it's like 3/4 of the way down to the.
We can certainly. I'm not aware of it, but we can certainly follow up with staff tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. I thought he would have an answer tonight.
Yeah,
so.
well, we're voting on it now. So, and if we did have a discussion about who's going to pay for the retaining wall, and it was Cyrus One. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the new restaurant.
What is it about?
The new restaurant on Lake Street, Lake and Indian Trail.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, is Ken Schroth, is engineering familiar with this retaining wall?
He was here.
Mike, can you tell us what item again, please?
Yeah, sorry, it's 24-0314.
Yeah, sorry, Alderman. Ken Schroth, Public Works. I don't have the details on that. I mean, so since this is a final plat, we could propose that it's contingent upon that review. Or
Well, all right, so what are we asking? So what are you asking, that the city of Aurora does not pay for it and that the owner of the property pay for it, just so we're clear?
Yeah, it's not, I don't think the city's responsibility. I think it's one of the business owners, and I didn't know, I'm just trying to clarify, now that this is before us, should this be attributed to this property or is it to the property to the west? And either way, I don't think it meets code. It's probably a violation, I would assume, if it's falling down.
Yeah, and as part of the final plat process, we'll review the final plat, and I guess whoever owns it, like you said, Alderman, it's a private property matter between two different properties, not the city of Aurora. So whoever has possession of that wall when we get that survey will be the one, I would guess, would be the one responsible for maintenance. But again, that would be between two private properties. So I guess I'm not certain what the city should be doing at this time.
Well, it's a violation, I would think, that can be easily enforced.
Counsel?
I understand the Alderman's question, and that is a concern that we can look into, but I don't know that it is particularly germane to the final plat that's being requested tonight. I think that's something staff can look into,
Okay.
and we can follow up as needed, but as far as the applicability to what's in tonight's resolution, I don't know that it's
Yeah,
there.
it's a question that I wanted to see if I can get an answer and making sure that the city council was aware of this. But As Alex just said, we can follow up later on this, and that's fine with me. No other questions, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions on any of the items or motions or moving the items? There being none, a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The consent agenda, the direct council consent agenda are both approved. Madam Clerk, let's go on to the next section of the agenda, unfinished business.
24-0362, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter into an agreement with LDV Custom Specialty Vehicles in the amount not to exceed $268,800 for the construction of a rapid deployment and surveillance vehicle for the APD Special Operations Group.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Any questions or discussion on this particular item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
10 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, will you read the next item?
24-0398, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute various contracts and make additional purchases related to improvements to the Stobe Island parking deck, including painting and installing new lights, window tinting, and signage.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
No.
10 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. This next item, before you read the item, this is the one I jumped the gun that Alderman Yamas has recused himself from. So we'll let him remove himself from the city council chambers while we entertain this item on the agenda.
24-0421, a resolution approving the appointment of Ileana Rivera Nunez as Community Engagement Manager.
So moved.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Garza, seconded by Alderman Smith. Are there any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug? Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
10 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Let's go on to the next item that was held from last city council meeting. Madam Clerk, read the item.
24.
And that, just for the record, that Alderman Yamas has returned to the council chambers as we are done with the item that he recused himself from. Madam Clerk, read the item.
24-0266, a resolution establishing the maximum number of licenses for tattoo and body art establishments in the city of Aurora in accordance with Chapter 25, Article 11, tattoo and body art establishments.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Smith. Or is there any questions or discussion on this particular item? Alderman Yamas.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to kind of repeat what I had already mentioned at Committee of the Whole a few weeks ago. And thank you to the owners and the family and friends that came out to support him. That was very nice of you to do that. It's nice to see kind of a family unit come out together to help each other out. And I'm very much for your tattoo shop. I want it to be successful. Your story is like many of ours that are born and raised here in Aurora, so we understand it. And your success is our success, like you stated. However, that property, the physical location, is zoned in a residential area. The surrounding area is it's smack in the middle of Pigeon Hill, which is one of the older, more established neighborhoods here in Aurora. And the other tattoo shops that are here in Aurora are in places that are zoned for business, and they're in commercial areas, where I think it is more appropriate than in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So it's just for that reason that I'm voting no against this. It doesn't mean that I'm voting no against your business. I want you in my ward. I want you in the first ward, and I can help you find locations in the ward that are more suitable for your type of business. If you want to have that discussion afterwards, I'd be happy to, but I want you to understand, it's not anything personal, it's not anything against tattoos, and it seems to be kind of the story that you're telling, and I can't speak for everyone up here, but we are, compared to, I mean, I guess I'm young, but not too young anymore, but when I was growing up, tattoos were things that gang members had. We couldn't have tattoos because it was a bad thing. Now, tattoos are, I mean, just in the last 30 years have come a long way. So I think that old mentality against tattoos is no longer a thing. It's no longer relevant to my analysis here with this. It's simply just about the location. So if we can find a different location for you guys, and you have my support 100%. Sorry, all those comments were obviously geared towards the owners here. But.
Absolutely. Alderman Franco.
Alderman Yamas made a couple of good points, but I do want to point out that it is our responsibility to periodically go over our ordinances because some of them are archaic. And the fact that we just went over this ordinance recently, updated it, and the petitioner basically complied with everything that this new ordinance had there, it seems that it would be discriminatory to say, how, even though we passed this and everything's up to date, we're not going to approve this because of it being a neighborhood. Now, we could have put that in the ordinance at the time. We could have put proximities to schools and churches and all that stuff. We didn't because, as Alderman Yamas alluded to, and I will go even further, school teachers, baseball coaches, police, firefighters, your mom, your dad, your sister and brother, they all have tattoos. So the stigma, as it would have been years ago, is not the same as it was before. Hence, I believe why the city council approved that ordinance without these other amenities on there leads me to believe that we should be entertaining this, because otherwise we're saying to people, here's our ordinance, but, even though you check all the boxes, but. So I think that would be a wrong message to send, and I don't think this particular type of business in this day and age, being in a residential community, is a negative on the community, just because of all the things I mentioned. So I will be voting yes, because I think that would be wrong for us to pass an ordinance, update it, and not comply with it. That would be a little bit hypocritical on our part. So I will be voting for that, just because of the reasons that I mentioned.
Alderman Bug, did you have?
I did. However, I know Mr. Sieben is not here, correct? Or he would have stepped up on the other matter. Maybe Mr. Schroth or someone, just for clarification, because we're tossing around, is it in a residential area? So is it in a residential area or is it near residential area? I have Eola Road, which cuts through all my residential areas, and we have issues, and people say, well, that's going on in a residential area. Well, no, I have a commercial strip adjacent to residential areas. So it's not a residential area, it's actually a commercial area. So please clarify, is the proposed business in a residential area or in a commercial area?
Ms. Voigt?
Alex Voigt with the Mayor's Office. I am not from zoning, but specific to this property, it is zoned R2, so it is a legal non-conforming use, which means that it is, and Corporation Counsel, feel free to jump in here, but.
It means that that use can be allowed in that certain situation based on the previous use at the time that you started. So I believe it's a barber shop now.
Correct.
And so this would be an extension of that existing legal non-conforming use.
And specific to this neighborhood, it is currently a mix of businesses and residential. There are a number of buildings that have a business on one floor, residential on another, which is similar to this property. There are restaurants, auto body shops, other beauty parlors. There are social clubs on either side of the bridge, so it's not purely residential. And it is also right next to the High Street Bridge, which is next to the railroad tracks, so that obviously is not residential either.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Alderman Leish?
I have a question for you, but I did attend a Pigeon Hill meeting that Alderman Yamas was unable to make and brought this issue up. I would say that there was mixed reviews. One person who supported it felt that it would be better to have a tattoo parlor than to have nothing and to continue to have an empty building. And then there was some soft opposition, but not nearly as strong of opponents as they are to the Boys and Girls Club in Garfield Park. So that's just some feel from that meeting. And then the question I had for you, I was trying to nail down in Cal a little bit, which is the one Alderman Franco brought up about the criteria, because I think one of the 3 criteria was that we all support it, correct? Well, maybe you could just review the 3 criteria real briefly.
So are you referring to the summary I provided at PHST?
Correct.
Okay, that was not criteria. So the information that I provided to the PHST committee back in May was the 3 steps that the city council took when revising the tattoo ordinance. The tattoo ordinance was done in 2012. It was very restrictive. The city council opted to make revisions, as Alderman Franco stated. So the ordinance itself was revised in January of 2023. Later in January of 2023, the city council established the process of licenses. So we licensed the 4 existing businesses, and then any new tattoo parlors would need to request and receive a license from the city council that was modeled after the liquor license. The 3rd phase of the revisions was the requirement that there be a buffer between tattoo parlors. That was the control lever that the city council opted to put in, so we didn't have 5 or 6 tattoo parlors right in a row. So what I covered at that committee were the 3 phases of revisions that it took. The council put quite a bit of time into revising the ordinance. That's the summary I provided. And I wanted to add, to your point, one of the questions that Alderman Yamas raised a couple of meetings ago is in terms of the zoning classification. Tattoo shops are in the personal services category, which includes nail salons, hair salons, barber shops, dance studios. So it falls in that similar category of zoning, which I know was an earlier question.
Any other questions?
No further
Sorry.
questions, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Smith?
Yes, I don't have so much of a question as I do a statement, because I find this to be an unfortunate situation, because I do feel like the petitioner has the best interest in his business in mind, and appears that he's ready to go and ready to open up his new shop. But on the other hand, as an alderman of a ward, I feel like I know my ward better than anybody sitting up here. And if there's an area, something going in an area in my ward that I don't feel should be there, then I feel like I would know better than anyone up here. So to my fellow alderman, Ward 1, if he feels that this is an inappropriate place for this particular business, then I'm going to have to support him. So as much as I want you to succeed, and I want you to open your business in our city, I just hope that, I'm not sure where everyone else is going with this, but I would hope if something happens this evening and it doesn't pass, that you are working with economic development, that they can find you a place to go. I just don't feel that this is the best place for this business.
Did you have a comment before you did you have a comment? Because I think I cut you off earlier. Alderman Lash.
No, I just was going to say that I feel like I understand the conflict, but I don't feel like the opposition was strong enough, and I'll be voting yes, just because other people were adding it. Thank you.
Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. I think I would like to clarify what it is the council is being asked to vote on tonight. Since 2012, which is, I believe, the time that we had the original tattoo ordinance in place, the role of the city council with respect to the approval process has been the authorization of a number of tattoo licenses. 5 licenses, 6 licenses, 7 licenses, not the specific applicant. The selection of the applicant, once a license is available, is handled administratively through the process within the city code, and is not a city council matter for deliberation. It is something that is within the executive branch of city government to administer. So you're being asked today not to necessarily vote on this particular application, although this is the application that's pending, but to increase the number of licenses available that would allow the process to continue in accordance with the city code that may lead to the issuance of a license once authorized.
So let me put that in plain English.
Thank you.
what you're not voting on a location. You're voting on just adding another license to the number of licenses that we have here in the city of Aurora. So we're not voting on whether it's going to go on High Street or anywhere else in the city. We're just voting on extending the number of licenses in the city, similar to how we do with liquor licenses. Alderman Yamas.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something that was asked and answered earlier from Alderman Bug about whether this was a residential or commercial area. To say it's mixed is, while true, not accurate. I would say that the ratio of business to residential is 10% business or less to 90% residential. This is an old neighborhood. So there's going to be, at some point, a barber shop, a restaurant, when we're talking about a taqueria there on the corner across the street. But other than that, it's largely residential. It's, unless we have a new subdivision, it's going to be hard to find anywhere in the city that's 100% residential. So I just think that was unfair categorization. And like our council and the mayor just stated, this is similar to when we vote on a liquor license. We're not issuing a license to a specific business. Only the liquor commissioner can do that, which would be the mayor. Us as a council, we vote on the number of licenses. But on our agenda, it also states unofficially related to the application from such and such business. And the discussions that we have and things that we take into consideration are not just specific to, are we going to extend or expand the number of licenses? It is this business going to get this license? So I don't understand why now we are going back on that analysis and that view, because frankly, now for any liquor licenses moving forward, we should limit our discussion to, are we going to grant or extend the number of licenses without any information as regard to the business or the applicant? If that's what we're saying now, that's what we should do moving forward.
Alderman Franco.
So I just want to get clear on the path forward. We're voting on a license. If the license is approved, who makes the determination if that entity can go into that building?
Council.
Alderman, you're voting to create another tattoo license availability.
Right.
If that happens, then the license, there would be an application process, and it would be the license administrator, who in this case is the
Revenue and Collections
Revenue and
Manager.
Collections Manager.
And they will be the determination of if they can go in that location that they're looking at.
If they comply with the other conditions in the ordinance and.
So a yes vote tonight means nothing as far as location, just numbers.
Correct.
Okay, that's very important in this discussion. And that would lead me back to where I was before, because, we felt we were very restrictive on how many tattoo parlors in this day and age. So the fact that we're going to increase it by one, to have 5 in a, city of 200,000 people with X amount of 47 square miles does not seem exorbitant. So, what happens down the road, I get that, but having 5 liquor or 5 tattoo licenses seems pretty mundane to me. That's all I have.
Alderman Seville.
Yeah, I'm looking for some clarification with regard to what the Corporation Council just said. So if I heard you correctly, this item before us tonight is just on expansion of the number of tattoo parlors in the city of Aurora as a whole. That's correct, right? Correct statement?
Correct statement.
And then when this, assuming the City Council approves this, then the business would come towards the revenue person, and that revenue person could choose to say yes to anywhere in the city? If it applies legally to all of our zoning ordinances and our rules and regulations and the like.
Provided it
say yes, then the City Council would not have a say over it.
That is correct. Subject to the limitations in the ordinance. Once a license is available, the administrator has to act in an administrative capacity, which means they follow, and if the individual requirements in the ordinance are satisfied and a license is available, the license is issued.
Well, personally, as a vote here, it puts me in a predicament because ideally, I would say yes to the expansion of the tattoo license. But I would not support it going in the neighborhood of this address that's mentioned in the first ward. That's the issue that I have. And it's kind of a catch-22 here. And let me also address the zoning, this R2 legal non-conforming. When the City Council established these zonings that we have in the city, and they're throughout, mostly in the older neighborhoods, and of course, that these non-conforming zonings were meant to not last forever. They were eventually looked to expire at some point in the future. So this business that was currently operated for years and years and years in a single-family R2 designation was hoped to go away, not to have an expansion and continue these legal nonconforming zoning applications. So by approving a business expansion here, we are saying that we don't want to see the trend of development go back to residential. We're happy to be legal nonconforming and a business use, which I think is against the intent of what transpired many, many, many years ago.
If I could mention, this property has a historic use of the personal services category, meaning there were barber shops and other similarly categorized establishments there in the first place. The first floor is commercial and there is residential below. So I think the intention of staff in working with the applicant on this location was because there is not a high probability of that being converted into residential in terms of the physical layout of the building and the history of the personal services being located at that building.
I understand the physical look is not like your normal home, but that is the intent originally when these zoning applications were approved by City Council. Like I say, many years ago, even before my time.
Alderman Lash.
Just a quick question. Do we know if the applicant has a lease or is the owner of this property that is being discussed tonight?
That is not an application requirement, so I don't.
Just curious if we knew, because that would mean they're pretty committed to it.
My assumption is that there is a lease, but that's not part of the application, so.
Is that something we can talk about? Good question.
It goes more towards the qualifications in the ordinance than the number of licenses.
So you want to step up just for a second? We'll ask you a few questions. You don't own this property, brother?
I do not.
All right. You're leasing it from someone who is renting it to you?
Correct. I know the owner of the building, and prior to me, he rented it to one of my best friends that grew up with me, who was the owner of the Empire Barbershop. My best friend rented this property for 15 years straight. The reason that he moved out is because he grew and he moved into a bigger building so he could be able to help other barbers have space for him. He did not close his business, he didn't went out of business, but he just moved into a grown. First day that he let that place go, I was the first person that he called, and he offered that he could talk to this person, explain my situation, being 24 years old, and the owner of the building said yes to me. He let me rent this place up to 10 years so I could grow with my business. He did not change prices. He said there were over 12 people offering up to $800 on top of what he asked me. But he was gonna respect his word because he wanted to help me grow.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Smith?
So looking at a picture right now, it appears that there's absolutely no parking, and I know we're out of the scope now, but since we're out of the scope, I'm going to ask the question. There's absolutely no parking in front of this building. Where will your patrons park to?
Actually, we do have up to 3 spaces by the side of the road as long as we're not blocking the fire hydrant. And if you drive around the building, we have a 6-car parking lot. All they have to do is walk up the stairs and walk through our door. I actually put some stuff together because I wanted to show you guys, but I didn't know that I had to bring enough for each one of you. But I guess we can always see it after here, and I can show you guys a little bit more.
Alderman Bug, did you have something?
I did. So I appreciate Alderman Seville's statement on the intent back then, but I think we have to look at our practice. So in this area, have we not allowed non-conforming uses? In that building and the building down the street from it, are we trying to transfer this to 100% residential area? I know, and I think everybody up here knows, no, we have not denied non-conforming uses. I think to take that step right now would be, just be wrong. As far as my colleague asking about the parking, I believe you need a lot more parking for a barber shop than you do for a tattoo parlor. So that's not a concern of mine. So I appreciate you coming here today and sharing your story.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is a difficult situation because I sat on the committee that belabored, trying to look at, how we would open up to tattoo parlors in the city of Aurora after a long time of not being very welcoming. So I think we did a pretty good job. I'm not sure that we did as complete a job as we should have. While I try to be consistent in what we do, consistent with our policies and procedures, I do, like Alderman Smith, have to respect Alderman Yamas's opinion as the ward alderman and his pledge to help this gentleman find another location. So I will not be supporting this then.
Any other alderman? All right, before we go, I'm sorry, Alderman.
I do have a question from legal.
Yep.
Is it fair to ask if we grant a license here, the location is not tied to this ordinance?
What's before you right now is increasing in numbers, and no, it is not tied to this location.
So he is open for another location, and if we vote yes, he can choose to come to this location or any other location?
If the council approves an additional license and he submits the application as prepared, absent factors I'm unaware of, the application would almost certainly be approved for the location he's proposed. If he modified his application and found another location that met those same criteria, again, it would be the same type of decision made by the administrator. The question before the council is, shall there be an additional license available to issue?
And does this type of thing have a public hearing?
No.
Or no public hearing? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Lesh.
I know Alderwoman is not here, but it does seem to me that between our liquor license and these licenses, and this is a little bit disconnected, and I'll keep it brief, there should be some way to tie the application before us to the license that we're approving, because in effect, we could approve a license tonight and it could end up in anybody else's ward, which I think that people might not be comfortable with that. Because there's a lease in a building, in not real strong opposition, I feel comfortable supporting this man's business, but I just feel like this needs to be addressed somehow through RAP committee. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so let me just weigh in on this just a little bit. First of all, brother, you're 24 years old, starting your own business. I give you a whole lot of respect. I don't think I was in that position when I was 24 years old to start my business. It sounds like the place that you're trying to lease is going to work with you on a modified rent that you would probably not be able to afford if you went to some other place, like in a strip mall or some other location in Ward 1. So this is modified so you can be successful in the future. Listen, I was on the council, and Mike Seville, can attest to this. When we first took this under account with the tattoos and reduced the number of licenses, and it was solely for the perception of what tattoos parlors brought to a particular community. I think, and that was 10 years ago, and I think over the last 10 years, and I remember I was probably the sole alderman that voted, against imposing those limitations on our tattoo parlors. The perception was that they, brought a underclass of people that we don't want to be around our community. They brought crime. And I remember there was a police officer here that day, and I asked a question about what statistics do we have that there's actually crime occurring or any negative thing occurring at any of these tattoo parlors, and there was zero. We had zero data to show that there was a problem. These tattoo parlors are about perception. Now, I grew up in Ward 1, right on High Street and Indian Trail, and I remember walking up and down High Street on a number of occasions to go to High Street Pharmacy and all the different businesses. And if you go down High Street right now, as I do, to get some of the best tacos, I think, in Aurora, and how Lease goes. And exactly right. There are a number of businesses, and I expect if we were talking about, putting another barbershop in there, we wouldn't be having this conversation the same way we do now. I absolutely respect Alderman Yamas's position as the alderman of the First Ward and his determination that he believes that that's not the right location. However, and it's important that we listen to our aldermen in most circumstances. However, and I think we all agree that Aurora is open for business. We can't say that we're open for business and not allow legitimate business to open up here in the city of Aurora, especially with a young new business owner that is just getting a start and needs something like this to get kicked off. This isn't what we believed to be years ago as this negative connotation and this negative perception of an organization or business opening up in the city. This is a legitimate business that deserves an opportunity and a chance. If you go up and down High Street right now, you'll see a number of businesses. Matter of fact, another hair shops, I believe, right across the street from this location that exist and operate right now with absolutely no problem. And although, and as Alderman Seville pointed out, this legal nonconformity was talked about years ago, and it wasn't meant to last forever. But the fact is, these businesses that are in communities like grocery stores and like, hair parlors and like tattoo shops offer our communities, a neighborhood business they can easily have access and get to. So to simply say that we don't want this particular kind of business, even though it's legitimate business, I think shows that we're not actually open for business. And I know we all agree that we are. So, as a person that grew up walking up and down High Street many times, that travel up and down High Street to this day, having nostalgia about where I grew up as a kid and walked up and down, I think this is appropriate. Now, I believe you're 24 years old, brother. I don't think you'll be here long. This is your first business getting started off. You're going to expand just like your friend did, and you're going to move on to a bigger and better place. But until that time, I think we got to support you as a new business owner here in the city of Aurora. So I would ask that, and again, I give all the respect to the alderman of Ward 1, and his beliefs. But as someone who grew up in Ward 1 myself, I think this would be an appropriate business, and I would ask that our aldermen support this endeavor and give this young man a chance.
Appreciate it.
Sir, I'm going to have you have a seat. I think we're done asking questions. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
No.
Alderwoman Garza?
No.
Alderman Masiacos?
No.
Alderman Donnell?
No.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
No.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
No.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
No.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
4 yes, 7 no.
All right, this motion fails. So, council, what is being a failed motion coming for a city council? At this point, what are the next steps?
The motion is lost. There are no additional licenses available.
So should this gentleman want a license and ask the city council to add an additional license, he would have to do it outside of that location where the alderman just voted against.
Again, barring a change in the ordinance, the question before the council would be, shall we increase the number of licenses by X numbers? So the council at any time can decide to increase the number of licenses. Given the action tonight, it's unlikely that it would increase if the application was for that location.
So it's unfortunate that this didn't pass at this particular location, but hearing, and it sounds like you want to be in Ward 1, which, and I would say is a great ward for you to be in. I would ask you to work very closely with Alderman Yamas to find a location that's suitable so you can get your business open as soon as possible. And I'd be willing to help and assist in that endeavor as well, along with Alderman Yamas, to ensure that you get open here in the city of Aurora as soon as possible. Alderman Franco.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask that the BZE committee takes this ordinance up again and takes a look at it, because if we're going to pass an ordinance that we're trying to make as black and white as possible, and that we're going to have discretion on if we want it or not, then that ordinance is no good. It needs to be to the point where we're not talking about perceptions and stuff like that. It has to be, we can't have people coming to Aurora, doing what they think is right with a new passed ordinance and saying no. We just can't have that. It's just wrong at so many different levels. So if we're going to do that, then we got to go back and rewrite that, because that's just not fair to anybody. It's just not.
I'll leave that up to Building, Zone, and Economic Development to revisit that.
I have a follow-up question, Mayor.
Alderman Yamas.
Would that be BZ&E or RAP? Because I heard RAP.
I'm sorry.
mentioned
Was it
earlier.
RAP? I'm not sure where it came. RAP. I'm sorry.
And yeah, I think this would be a good opportunity for RAP to revisit and tighten up everything that we were just discussing.
I'll leave that up to
Mr. Mayor?
Rap then. Alderman Smith.
If I can just add my 2 cents, I think it should be both committees. I think the RAP should decide on the number of licenses, but then I think there needs to be a clause in there that says it needs to go to zoning application then. So the BZE needs to take it up and allow for a zoning application to be approved for a tattoo.
And that may be the case, but again, I want to give this young man an opportunity to get his business open as soon as possible. So let us work with him as quickly as we can, expeditiously as we can, to make sure he gets his doors open. You know, I think he'd be a great addition. His business would be a great addition to the city of Aurora. All right, thank you, sir, and we'll be talking to you soon. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
Next are reports, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so next are reports. Corporate Fund Investment Report, first quarter 2024. I acknowledge the receipt of the first quarter 2024 Corporate Fund Investment Report. The staff have a presentation to report.
Good evening. I'm Linda Reed, the Comptroller Deputy Treasurer, standing in for Mr. Minnick, the CFO, who's out of town. We've submitted our Corporate Fund Investment Report for the first quarter 2024. This report is all the investments held by the city as of March 31st, 2024. The total was $351.6 million. It also indicates the purchases and sales and maturities during that period. Their report for the purchases is blank. That is not an error. We just didn't purchase any securities during the first quarter. And any questions?
Any questions from the council on this particular item? Alderman Lesh?
Sure. Just real quick, as far as our reports are due in Springfield to the comptroller's office. I know last year we were a little bit late on the TIF reports and getting the audit down there. How are we looking this year?
I was going to address that in the next
Sorry.
item, that is the treasurer's report.
Any questions on the report that she just mentioned? There being none, let's give the Treasurer's report. I acknowledge receipt to the March 2024 Treasurer's report. Does staff wish to give a presentation regarding that report?
My comments were actually going to be addressed on both of them, if that would be
You
okay.
go right
with
ahead.
the
We'll do
April
that
one.
Treasurer's report, and I acknowledge receipt to the April 2024 Treasurer's report as well.
Just to give a brief update on the audit that Alderman Leach had commented on, our field work is completed. Our auditors, Sikich, are working right now on their report drafts, and we are working diligently to try to get those all issued by the end of June on time by our requirements by the comptroller. So that is our expectation. So, as to the treasurer's report, you will notice there's a decline in fund balance for the first 4 months prior to our year-end balance. This is to be expected because our property taxes have not yet been received. We just got in some big payments from Kane County and DuPage County. So as we go forward, you should see an uptick in revenues over expenditures, and the fund balance should return to its normal levels. And so based on that, we are on track for the year, and that's.
Any questions on either report? There being none, thank you very much, Ms. Reed. Appreciate your recitation of that. Let's go on to the bills. Is there a motion to approve and pay the bills?
So moved.
Listed on
Pay the
agenda.
bills.
Motion made by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Smith. Any questions, discussions on the bill? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Bills are approved. We are in need of a closed session under Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body. Do I have a motion to enter the closed session and thereafter adjourn the city council meeting with no further final action or public business to take place? Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Franco. Any questions? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Yamas?
Yes.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. We will have this executive session, and then we will be adjourned for the evening.